you feeling? Your wounds heal? All 4 of them?
Hi, my name is Jerry, and this is Pictures in Time.
Buck.
I have a question for you.
Hi.
What is it about a character that connects them to us?
Yeah. It's a real corker.
That makes us care about them. The best answer to this is when what they go through is something we've already experienced.
Everybody's innocent in here. Don't you know that?
For example, a person who's been wrongfully in prison might connect closely with The Shawshank Redemption. A poorer person who has worked for a rich family might connect well with Parasite. And a person who has fallen in love with the fish before may connect well with The Shape of Water. Shared experiences have always bonded people together. But then how do you get an audience to connect to a character who is going through something unique?
I got a bad ankle, kid. I can't be running around out here.
The common approach to this is to show something relatable about them when they're introduced. For example, Nathan from Uncharted is an extraordinary pickpocket and daredevil. I am neither of these things, so I don't really connect to the situations he finds himself in.
Oh, come on.
Then we see at the beginning of the movie that he loves his sibling.
Never forget, you're Drake. I love you.
This is a common ground that resonates with myself and a lot of other people, so a connection is formed. But then what does Uncharted do with this information? Because instead of basing the movie on this relationship, this connection that we're drawn to, it does the opposite. It treats the connection as a plot point. Nathan can't find the treasure, but luckily his brother gave him clues to it.
All this is him.
And so because of his brother, he figures out where it is. So it starts to feel like that connection is just there so it can come up later and solve a problem in the movie. And this is common in all movies. They want everything we know about a character to intertwine with the story.
And love above all.
But after a while, it starts to feel like these characters only exist in the context of the plot. It feels like there's nothing else to them, because we never learn anything else about them, and so they lack any depth. So how does a great director overcome this problem and make you feel connected? And this is where the man, the myth, the legend comes in. Steven Spielberg. So how does Spielberg stand out? Because looking at his movies, it doesn't seem like he does. He connects you to a character through some exposition.
In this case, local tradition held that there was a golden coffin buried at the site.
And then has what we learned about them come up later so that they can overcome the plot, just like most movies. But where Spielberg stands out is that very often in his movies, he'll put aside what we know about the character and put aside the plot and just show you this.
Goodbye.
Those same characters in a less than extraordinary situation.
I am already missing you.
You're my good friend.
What's interesting about this scene is that we're being shown an aspect of these characters that doesn't affect the course of the plot at all. None of this has anything to do with the Lost Ark or defeating Nazis. It's just a couple thanking a man who helped them.
That is for your children, and this is for you.
And with it, it brings so much life into the story. And it's this separation of character and plot that lets this scene work so well. And it's what makes Spielberg stand out, because most movies present their characters through a series of cause and effects. For example, in the beginning of Hacksaw Ridge, we find out that Desmond is a pacifist. And this one little bit of character connection intertwines with the whole plot for the rest of the movie. There's a war going on and Desmond wishes he could help, but since he's a pacifist, he can't. One day he meets a girl who he likes, so they start dating. She's a nurse, so he starts reading one of her books on anatomy. By reading this book, he realizes he can serve in the war without having to fight.
I won't be a medic. I figure I'll be saving people, not killing them.
It's always one thing, which leads into the next thing, which leads into the next. And so of course the story starts to look like this. And that one little bit of connection we did get sort of feels manufactured. So then where do you get those moments of connection? Most movies are filled with extraordinary situations like Hacksaw Ridge. War, extreme interpersonal drama, fish people, killer sharks. But usually how we connect to a character comes down to those simple, ordinary things.
It won't be permanent. I want to see something permanent. Boom, boom, boom.
And it's this simplicity of showing these regular things like sharing some stories with friends.
Drink to your leg. I'll drink to your leg. Okay, so we drink to our legs.
That gives these characters a sense of depth that we understand. A lot of directors include scenes like this, but they spend a fraction of the time Spielberg does.
Nothing's getting in here, right?
So what ends up happening is the dialogue feels forced.
You remember that ghost at the old house? You remember the one in the garage? I protected you, right?
And the scene feels kind of like a cliche. But Spielberg understands the value of these scenes, and so he treats them with the same attention he would anything else.
Right there. Mary Ellen Moffat. She broke my heart.
So why I really wanted to make this video is to highlight that what these scenes really do is put these stories in the context of everyday life.
Because he's right-handed. George. What would I do without George Luz? Boop. Oh! Goodness gracious.
How does something like war really affect a person's normal life?
Your wounds heal? All 4 of them?
Look at you, I see 8 or 9 of you. I'll be all right when I
Seen this before?
That can be arranged too.
Buck.
What is a person really like when just for a moment you remove them from that extraordinary situation? This is where Spielberg earns his marks. He's happy just showing you something that's connection is purely emotional.
Sometimes I dream that I'm
Like a group of guys waiting around.
She sang that before.
Of course.
Of course.
In this sense, he's more of a poet than people really give him credit for. So don't be afraid to show something mundane, or something that doesn't directly affect the plot, because very often what connects a character to us is the simplest of things. And it's through the simplicity that we understand them, and the best directors realize this. And know that the question shouldn't be how does the character affect the story? It should be how does the story affect the character?
They were all melting.
And really, this is what good movies are all about, because plot is always a method for interesting storytelling. But for so many directors, it's the focus. But the focus should always be these things that connect a character to us. Those simple everyday moments, like a couple showing gratitude to a man who helped them, or a couple of friends sharing stories, or a group of guys connecting over a beautiful song. And it's by showing these things that give the plot and story depth, and in doing so connects them to us. Thanks for watching.